Hello guys, welcome to today's session. Today's session about Azure SQL Database service. So I will show you today how to create a SQL server and how to create a databases using portal and how to access SQL server using different tools. So let's go to the next slide. So Azure SQL Database is a fully managed platform as a service database engine. It's a PaaS service. PaaS means a platform as a service. IaaS means infrastructure as service. SaaS means software as a service. Okay, and Azure SQL Database handles most of the database management functions such as upgrading, patching, backups, and monitoring without user involvement. And Azure SQL Database is always running and always 99.99% availability. Okay. Let's go to the deployment options. Azure SQL Database provides the following deployment options: a single managed instance and elastic pool. What is a single database represents a fully managed and isolated databases. So it's a single database where you can create using Azure portal. When we talk about next one, managed instance, it's a set of SQL database set of databases, and elastic pool means it's a collection of single databases. Okay, let's go to next one. Easy to use tools. So what are the tools we can use to access SQL Server? We can access through Azure portal, a web-based application for managing all Azure services, and SQL Server Management Studio you can download from Microsoft website, and where you can establish the connections. You can give the server name, username, and password. You can connect it. And SQL Server Data Tools in Visual Studio. You can download Visual Studio and access a SQL Server. Availability capabilities, automatic backups. You can schedule the backups, and point in time restores, you can restore it. And active geo replication, you can replicate in different regions. So whichever region you wanted, you can keep it as a secondary location. When you create it, that's your primary. When you want to keep a copy, a geo replication, you can create it. I will show you how to do that using Azure portal and zone redundant database. Let's go to Azure portal. So I'm in Azure portal. I'm trying to log into Azure portal. Let me log into Azure portal now. So when you're logged into Azure portal, just go to home and go to this search option. Just type SQL. So now we are creating a SQL server. And then after that, I'll show you how to create a database using Azure portal. So now SQL server. So here we don't have any servers available. So here you can use either create SQL server, or you can use add. Anything you can use it to create a SQL server. Just create a SQL server here. Okay, so here I pick Azure subscription, Azure subscription. Then resource group, no resource groups available. Let me create one. One resource group, and then server name. Need to give a server name. Give let's call test the specific. So here, if you see on the screen, server name should not contain reservoirs, and specified server name is already in. Someone using the server already. Let's give a unique name. Test learn. Okay, now this server is available, testlearn.database.windows.net, and location. So here the Azure recommended locations. You can pick any of these location, or you can use any location if you want other than this recommended. Let me pick US, East US, and then we have to create a username. Okay, user. So when you're creating username, you must follow this. Your login name must not contain SQL identifier. So like admin, administrator, root, DB manager. So also it must not include any non-alpha numeric characters. Okay, let's give a password. So you must match all these requirements. Here you can see if you give a good password, so you can see it here. Yes, so password and confirm password must match it. Okay, let's go to next one, networking. Allow Azure services and resources to access this server. If you have any web application or anything, storage account, so they can access the server. Let's just pick as additional settings. Okay, so let's go to, I will just leave these additional settings like that, and then tags you can give a name. Now I'll just leave it empty. Go to review create, and then here if you come here, right, so the server you can see it, the location, everything. And then review, and then estimated no additional charges. Okay, and then here is the location, East US, server name test learn. You must remember this server name, and then admin login details. Just save it in your one file. Just save it in one text document. Let's create the SQL server. Now deployment in progress. Here you can see here the notifications. If it is completed, if it is running, if it is failed, you can use this one. Let's go to home. Let's go to resource group. See, resource group is created. Let's see if the SQL server is completed. Refresh it, refresh it. It is still running. Okay, let's wait for it. So this is how it create a SQL server. Once this SQL server is created, and we will access this SQL server. We will try to log in to this SQL server using SQL Server Management Studio. And after that, we will create a database using Azure portal, or you can create it in SQL Server Management Studio 2. So you can use either one. So I want to show you both. I want to show both how to create the databases and how to insert the data. Now, if you refresh this resource group, now our SQL server is created. Test learn overview, and then here it is. We created in the location East US, and then here you see the admin details, and this is the server name. And then here you can configure everything. Let's try to log into this server. Copy the server name. Now I try to connect to this server using SQL Server Management Studio. Give this server name and the username Azure your user. Okay, so here we can see the databases. So since we didn't create any databases, so okay, now we are in this SQL Server. We don't have any database or tables available. Let's just go back to Azure portal. Let's create a database. I'm back at portal now. Let's go home. Let's go to home, and then here use the search option. Just type SQL. Here you can see SQL databases. Just create one database. Now we have resource group available. Just create a test database, or let's give a sandbox. Give database name sandbox, and this is the server. We want to create the database. Okay, want to use SQL Elastic Pool? No. And then here you can pick here you can pick the compute plus storage type. If you open this here for general purpose, you can use serverless and then provision. If you use serverless, it is little cheaper than the provision one. If you have if you want to use for development or testing, you can use this one. And for business critical, you can use this business critical option. So for now, let me use the general purpose and then serverless. And here you can see the price. Estimated storage cost per month, 4.78 US dollar. Apply this. Networking. I leave it empty for now. The existing item, so let's just leave it empty for now. Go to review, and here you can see the estimated cost. Storage cost 4.78. Just created in the same server. Let's just create this database name sandbox. Once this database created, we will log in back to SQL Server and then see if this database is available. If it is available, we will create one table and then insert the data. Now we see your deployment is completed. Now this is completed. Let's go to home. Let's go to resource group. Now if you see the resource group, here the SQL database is available, sandbox database is available. We created in this server, and then location East US, and then subscription Azure subscription. Here you can see the compute utilization, and then CPU build, also database data storage, how much space available, how much is allocated. Now let's try to refresh in the SQL Server. Go to databases. Now you see the sandbox database is available. Now let's try to create. Let's create one table. Now I want to create this table recipe. And now the query executed successfully. Let's refresh it. So here, if you see that a recipe table is available, and we can see the columns recipe ID, and then recipe name. Let's insert some data into it. into this table. Now we inserted this data. So now let's check if this data is updated. Here now this data is available. So this is how we access the SQL Server, and let's go back to portal. So now we are back at the portal. Now if you want to create this replication, the copy of this database, let's just pick this geo replication. So here are all the regions available where you can keep the secondary. So now you can pick anywhere. Now we created our database at East US. Now I want to pick North Europe. Okay, this location is not available. Now let's go to Canada Central. Okay, let's pick this West US. And this is the database, and this is the secondary type. And then targets, let's just keep test, learn, and DR, or you can put a backup. We have to create a username. I keep the same username, but you can keep a separate names for your backup server. I've selected, and then elastic pool, and I'll just keep it off. And here also I will pick general purpose serverless, and you can see the price here. So here you can see estimated storage cost per month 5.74 for data maximum size, but you can increase it always if you want. Now apply. Now let's just click OK. Now you see this deployment in progress. When it is done, we will see the backup server that created at West US location. You can go to resource group, just refresh it. It is still in progress. Now let's just refresh it. Yes, now the backup server created. If you see it here, we kept the name test learn dr. Then here in the notification you can see it, deployment succeeded. So here you can see West US where we created our secondary server. So here the server admin, you can see it, the location. Okay, so this is how you create SQL Server and SQL Server secondary location if you want, and this is how you create the database. And then you can create a database, and you can use SQL Server Management Studio to connect those the database, and you can insert data, all that. So next session I will go through Azure Data Factory. Just subscribe this channel, Microsoft Azure World channel. Okay, thank you guys.